That's the entrance to the fort there that we're about to go in. Miss Judy, tell us where we're going now.
Now we're going to go down and stand in the ditch that runs behind the back of the three sides of the fort that are on the land. And we're going to cross over to Long Alley, which runs around the outside of that ditch.
All right.
This is a really good informational sign. You did two-step alley, so you started here and went underground a short distance, turned behind the bakery and went up the long part of the alley that had 2 steps every 15 feet or so.
Right.
And then went down the short and came back into the fort.
It also looks like that these doorways are getting smaller and smaller.
Now we're crossing the ditch here to go into Long Alley, which is buried under this part of the roof. We'll go a short distance, turn left, go up the Long Alley. This one doesn't have 2 steps like two-step alley had. It's just a long, long ramp. Then we'll turn left again, and we'll cross the moat on the far side, come back into the fort.
And it is dark in here.
It is. I'll give your eyes a minute to adjust.
Yeah.
And the flooring here is a lot wavier and rollier.
Yeah.
Because remember, we've got a dirt roof and old-fashioned mortar between these bricks. We can't use new mortar because it's a historical site. So this mortar is a lot more porous. Rainwater and snowmelt trickles down. So we get a lot of warping and weaving, especially with the freezing and thawing during the winters.
Gotcha. All right.
Check out these blocks that soldiers would have stood on to reach their rifle ports up there.
That is totally amazing. Wow.
Okay. And there's enough light in these tunnels, you'll get beautiful pictures on your cell phone or your camera. I love the light in here, especially in the early morning.
I bet.
There's an orangish yellowish tint, and with the red fuel stone and the red brick, it's gorgeous. This is the only part of the Long Alley that has these scanned-in blocks.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
It amazes me of the forts that I've been in that have the brick ceilings.
Vaulted ceilings are the strongest kind of ceiling you can have. And since they're covered by dirt, which is an additional protective factor, it's a shock absorber. And the vaulted ceilings and the granite walls, that's what helped make this place impenetrable when they started. Room for more small cannons. So in addition to being shot at across the ditch, Long Alley and two-step alley, we've also got cannons shooting down the short end. So someone would have been shot at from 3 directions. And check this out. This is the back wall of the fort. Remember I said they dug a hole to build the fort?
Mm-hmm.
They dug the hole on the side of the hill. So there's nothing but a dirt hill behind here. You don't need granite.
Wow.
No one's going to shoot through the dirt.
No.
And the masonry is just astounding.
Oh, yeah, that part just totally amazes me.
And in every, I guess you can call it a corner of the letter C shaped ditch, two-step alley runs along the inside of the letter C and Long Alley runs along the outside. At the beginning, there's a gunpowder magazine and storage room. At this corner where we start to go up the long end, there's another one.
Uh-huh.
At the end of this long straight part, when we make the turn, there's going to be another storage room. And at the other end of that short leg down there, there's another storage room.
Wow.
So soldiers wouldn't have had to run very far to resupply. Again, watch your step.
Yes.
Missing bricks. Rolling wavy. Looking down the short part of the letter C, you see Long Alley on the left,
Yep.
and we crossed in front of that brick wall down there. That didn't used to be there, that brick wall, that's new. And you can see the rifle slots across from us in Two-Step Alley. So anybody attacking from the land couldn't come and walk directly into the middle of the fort. They had to drop down into this ditch where they're going to get caught in the crossfire and the flanking cannons. This is another pretty hallway with all the reds.
Yes. And of course, it's nice and cool in here now, but in the dead of summer, was it cool underground here?
You're underground.
Yeah, yeah.
There's 10, 15, 20 feet of dirt up above us.
Gotcha.
I spend a lot of time in here in the summertime.
Trying to
The
cool off.
wintertime, not so much. Boy, do these granite walls hold the cold.
Oh, I bet. In the dead of winter.
I came down once in the winter just to see what it felt like. It was 25 below zero. It was brutal.
Oh, I'm sure. And can you imagine what the soldiers had to deal with during the winter time here? With the snow and the
But
cold.
remember, that's what they would have known. That's what they would have been used to.
Right,
They didn't
right.
have the modern conveniences we did.
That's true. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, there were wood-burning stoves in the enlisted men's quarters. There were 8 fireplaces in the officers' quarters. If they were lucky enough, they had wool clothes, wool uniform. We did have soldiers come through twice for training, once during the Spanish-American War and once during the Civil War, but it was just for training and the fort wasn't finished, so they didn't stay inside the fort. They stayed in tents and log cabins outside. Especially the guys in the Spanish-American War, because they were sent here specifically to learn how to live in tents. That's what they were going to be doing in Cuba. Again, we're at a corner. We're about to turn left and go down the short side, so here's another gunpowder magazine, and here's an opening in the walls to let air in to circulate, because you need to keep your powder dry.
Oh, interesting.
Do you want to see what black looks like?
That's black. Look
The
how
thickness of the doors,
thick.
the thickness of the granite walls, the vaulted ceiling, the dirt roof. All our gunpowder magazine rooms would have been bomb-proof when they started. It could have absorbed an artillery hit. But technology changed so much while they were building. International politics changed. Great Britain was no longer the threat to invade that she had been for hundreds of years.
So how long did it take to build this?
25 years to build what you see. They stopped working on it, so it was never finished. It took 5 years just to blast and excavate the hole before they could start building the granite walls. You can
Wow.
only work in the summertime up here.
Well, that's true too. 25 years. And it's not even finished.
This fort may never have been used, but it was a couple of hundred years overdue. It was built in response to the French and Indian Wars way before the Revolutionary War, the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Aroostook Border War, the Maine New Brunswick border. There was a battle over that. The timber barons were fighting over who owned what. And since Maine used to be part of Massachusetts, we were a district of Massachusetts. It wasn't until we got our independence in 1820 that we were able to advocate the legislature on our own behalf to build this fort. So much international commerce went up and down this river that whoever controlled access to this river and protected it really had their finger on international commerce. First it was the fur trade, then it was the lumber trade. Any country that had a navy needed the pine trees coming out of our great north woods for their masts. Britain used to own Canada, so they had their big military outputs, forts, supply stations, right in Canada. So anytime Great Britain wanted to invade the US, this would have been the next natural first stop. So that's why it was so important to protect this part of the coast. So here we are again. Remember, we did Long Alley,
Yep,
and now we're crossing the ditch to go back inside the middle of the fort.
and right back where we started from.
Yes, we are.
Is this another magazine room?
It is, and
Yeah,
you're
in
burning
there.
the slots to let air in to circulate to keep your powder dry. See these shutters?
Yes.
In the cannon ports? They're called Totten shutters. Joseph Totten was an army engineer. And after a cannon would fire and recoil, the power of the recoil would automatically slam those shutters shut, so that anybody outside, it made it harder for them to shoot in.
Okay, so when I walked up, I was like, I don't understand, maybe this is for the rifle port, rifleman.
No, these are all cannon ports. The rifle ports are what we looked at in two-step
Two stages.
the ones that narrow to a point. So it's easy
Gotcha.
for us to shoot out, but hard for someone to shoot in at us.
Gotcha. It makes sense now. Okay, Miss Judy, anything else you want to tell us?
Our Rodman cannons are special. Thomas Rodman was an army engineer who made an improvement to casting molten ore. They used to pour the molten ore into a mold, and it would cool from the outside in. That pushed all the imperfections and impurities towards the middle, towards the ore, and made it the weakest part of the cannon. So cannons often exploded. They couldn't handle the power from the gunpowder exploding. Rodman poured his molten ore into the mold and then ran a tube of cooling water down through the bore. So his cooled from the inside out, and that made his bores the strongest part of the cannon. His cannons don't explode. The Rodman family is ecstatic that we have the 4 cannons that we do.
Yes.
We've got the 2 big 15-inch ones outside, this 10-inch, and there's another 10-inch Rodman up by the parking lot. And that one, they figured out how to insert a rifled sleeve, so it increased distance and accuracy instead of being just a smooth bore. This fort has room for about 135 cannon emplacements, all the way from our roof, circling down through the inside of the fort, and then outside, staggered different tiers, facing the river this way when it comes up from the ocean, and then after it makes the 90-degree turn to go up to Bangor, we've got more cannon emplacements. Since the fort was never finished, we only got about half the cannons we were supposed to have, and we did fire them twice on 2 celebratory occasions. Once was for a Revolutionary War hero's 101st birthday. He got a boat parade up the river to Bangor. And when we fired our cannons, it broke most of the windows across the river in Bucksport that weren't open, that were closed. 16 or 18 years later, we did it again on the 4th of July. Again, broke most of the windows across the river in Bucksport that weren't open.
Wow. I'm sure they appreciated y'all.
We weren't allowed to fire them after that.
Yes.
But it's built, there's a solid ledge of granite that runs from the fort under the river, so it just carried
Yeah.
the concussive force.
And you weren't allowed to shoot them ever again.
No.
I thank you for the tour.
You're
It was
welcome.
very interesting.
I love you, babe, with all my heart. Let us never, ever be apart.